Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Optimal Health for Busy Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Julian Hayes II, back at it again with another fascinating human. Another superhuman is joining me today. This is a gentleman who has worked on projects for GM, Lego, Pixar, and many more. His name is Rudzinski, who is the founder and CEO of Tragic Media, which is a digital technology agency that focuses on creating intuitive software experiences for business of all sizes. So without further ado, Rich, how's it going?
It's going great, Julian. How are you? I'm really excited to be on.
Awesome to hear, man. Thank you for joining me. I'm doing great, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation. When I was looking over your stuff, I looked at some of your hobbies. And so I think we're going to start here. I have one tattoo.
Okay.
And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's from half my arm all the way to my chest, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I stayed the whole session. It was about 8 hours. And so I won a bet. The guy didn't think I could last for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's a hearty first session, man.
Yeah, but I wanted a couple $100 knocked off for the bet. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, where did the love of tattoos come from?
I mean, I think it all comes from, kind of some of my background in like the music scene and everything. Was pretty heavy into, the punk and metal scene and everything. And then also, I mean, it's also a lot of my own personal self-expression. I mean, to be honest, I grew up and went to Catholic school for most or all of my life. So like, I think I had a lot of psychological, constraints on my ability to express myself. So I think it just all came out very loud at the very end there. So, and then I just, I find myself to be like, very artistic, but I'm not really an artist. So it's one of my forms of like self-expression is my ability to customize my own appearance.
What was the most painful one?
I mean, armpit has to be up there. Ribs are fun. I mean, there's definitely some different, lot of different fun places in the body.
Excuse me, I'm choking.
Yeah, you're right. Don't die on me.
I am choking on. I was eating oatmeal beforehand.
Oh no. Yeah, take a second. Drink some water.
Yeah. So this is a first. It's interesting though. That's
guessing on the podcast,
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the human body is that one little thing going on the wrong end can cause, me to have watery eyes right now if you're watching this right now. So, right. but yeah, that's it. I tend to find that sometimes with people who have a lot of tattoos, it's sometimes maybe like you mentioned, it's a way of expression, maybe from childhood that they didn't get that opportunity. And then some just are addicted to like the feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely has a very therapeutic element to it. We were talking before about how, the gym is a really big, outlet for a lot of people. I think that, tattoos is another one, is to the ability to go and just sit and, get worked on for a few hours and just kind of detach from everything else and just focus on that and nothing else. It can be very therapeutic and give you a really nice, sense of relief and everything from all the other stresses in your life.
And I also saw that you're a big into video games.
Yeah.
So current systems or old system, what's your favorite video game?
Oh, I like computer games. So I like new stuff. But I mean, I'm always diehard for the classics, some of my favorites are still like the original Half-Life, the original Doom, and some of the old shooters from like way back when and stuff. So,
were you into StarCraft?
No, I didn't get too much into StarCraft, but I did. I did play a number of other ones that were similar. Just didn't get into. I had a couple friends that really got into that.
Yeah. For some reason, I went back. I think I was on YouTube or something. Just one of those weird YouTube rabbit hole things.
Yeah.
I just went back and looked at the graphics and then just like how the games were played, like
totally.
It's N64, GoldenEye, and even StarCraft. And I was like, wow, technology has come really far. And it really has like 20 years or so like that.
Yeah. They just for some reason the name is blanking me, but they just re-released one of the original like RTS games that I played like way back, when like before high school or something, and they just re-released it as a Steam pack. And that was exactly my thoughts on it. It was just like, wow, like this used to be so immersive and intense, and like look how pixelated and funny it looks, like
It's so crazy. But anyway, before we start at the present and where you're going in the future, let's go back a little bit to your past and learn about you and get a little into your origin
all right.
stories. So let's, I guess, take us on a brief journey of how you got to where you are right now.
Sure. So I came down, I'm from like the LA area, came down to San Diego for school, went to UCSD. While I was at UCSD, I kind of shifted from a straight computer engineering major to one that was a little bit more new age media focused. So a little bit more able to pick and choose what I wanted and learn about the new upcoming things. So I really got immersed into the web at that point. And coming out of college, I didn't want to move back to LA to do music. I wanted to do music, but I didn't want to move back to LA. So I ended up getting into just new digital media, new digital technology. I worked at a growing agency out here. And I got to work on some really, really cool projects with some national brands, just really big stuff. And it really taught me the process of how a team works together to build, a modern website. At that time, there was a lot of web stuff. And at that role, I kind of hit a little bit of a growth ceiling. It was right at the 2008 recession. I was finding the job that I was looking for, and my consulting on the side, I was always doing consulting on the side, and my consulting started taking off. And I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on this, and that way I can, pay my bills and I can focus on getting a job. And then once I didn't find a job, and my consulting, once I stopped having the 9 to 5, my consulting really started to take off. So then I was like, wait, what am I doing? I have a job like right here. Let me get this going. Very quickly after, I ended up hiring 2 developers to work under me. And then our original mission was mostly helping other agencies with their really technical projects, because they weren't really staffed to do that. And then I discovered that like this is a common problem for all businesses. Like businesses that aren't technical businesses have a very hard time building software products, anything custom, whether it's a website, whether it's an application, whatever it might be, doing, cloud hosting, whatever. And finding the right company to help them, lead them through that process, and make sure that, they understood their goals and their budgets and their timelines, and kind of build the project around that. There's not a lot of companies, at least at 12 years ago when I started this, there weren't a lot of companies that did that. There were a lot of marketing agencies, design agencies, but not a lot of like software development agencies. A lot of them were like overseas, or they were coupled into much bigger companies. So then you had to have like, really large projects, really large budgets to work with them. But, my whole approach has always been like, we're here to help non-technical people with their, technical projects, whether you're trying to launch a startup or whether you're, a business and you're trying to build some software for, your team or for your customers. We really get in there and we lead and understand what your goals are, and make sure that like the project is not only successful, on brand, but that also it's going to, really meet your goals and work with your budgets. And, we really partner with our clients to, ensure their success over the long term.
Yeah. Has it, during that, working with your clients right now, have you had to kind of change a few things over the last course of the year or so with the way things are in the world?
Well, first off, we definitely it hit us hard. It hit our clients hard. We were working a lot of people in like the hospitality space. And even we have a couple entertainment brands that we work with. And, it just really shuffled a lot of industries, and that work just trickles downhill. So, a lot of the agencies, whether you're marketing agency or design, whatever, the whole industry got hit pretty hard depending on where your kind of customers were. With us, it definitely hit us hard. It hit us mostly I think the hardest thing for me to solve during all this time is like the business development. Almost all of our work comes from referrals and from networking and people that find out about us through, our partners or colleagues or whatever. And the whole pandemic, especially in California, where they really shut everything down, it made a lot of that really difficult. Also, there was, some company like right before, there was a company that was going to fly down just to meet us to kind of check the dots and, dot the I's, cross the T's, type thing,
Yeah.
make sure that, we're a real company, or, people are legit and everything like that. And that ended up getting canceled, which is interesting because I think like that whole idea that you have to like go like touch somebody or meet with somebody in person, like that's out the window now. I feel like that's just such, archaic thinking at this point, a year later. But, definitely shuffled that stuff up. And then we passed along some savings to some of our clients so that we could continue to help them during this time without hitting their, bottom line quite so hard, knowing that they were struggling. So, we really partner with our clients. We really worked with them to figure out how we can both get through this time together. So I don't think it necessarily changed a lot of our relationship. There's definitely like, initially there's a lot of like put banners up on all of the applications and websites and everything and tell everybody that we're still open, or here are our hours, or this is how you can work with us now. But after that, it kind of went back to normal. I think if anything, a lot of the clients pulled back a lot on their work because everything was so unsure that they weren't, they had to like, kind of like everybody, all the businesses basically held their cash and like needed to figure out what was going to happen before they decided how to move forward.
So it sounds like you did a lot of in-person networking to build your relationships, and it was your business was word of mouth and just referrals, as you mentioned. So with that said, I guess what's your strategy now for continuing to build more new relationships?
It's hard, I think, especially, even just over this course of this year, I feel like the amount of noise, even on like LinkedIn and stuff, is like tripled, versus just what it was previously. So like, even just like getting your message out there or having conversations, I feel like there's a lot more shut doors in some of these other avenues than there were before. So, I'm coming up with new ideas, working with new partners. One of the things is getting, having conversations like this, getting our brand out there and really trying to, get on a bunch of podcasts and share our story and share our mission and everything. Cause that helps just kind of spread, the brand awareness on that end. And then I think over the last few months, maybe like 6 months, it's, or so, it's definitely started to pick up in terms of like alternative networking options. I joined a group called Alliance out of Arizona. That's like, kind of like small business power networking group. And so I've been trying that out. And then there's a number of other, just online. I always keep my eye out for any like online networking, conference type, environment where I can get out. And then, I've been using, Lunch Club pretty heavily as well. I don't know if you're familiar with that app.
I heard about it. I haven't finished, filling out my profile.
The onboarding. Yeah.
How is it though?
It's a little hit or miss. I really like the concept of it. I think it's super cool. I think that their algorithm needs a little bit of work. Cause I stopped using it for a while cause it just kept matching me with other software development company like leaders. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to my competition particularly, I'd like to while it's good to understand what other people are working on and stuff, like I'm trying to build some network and stuff here.
Right.
So that was the only thing that's a little bit rough. But I have like a bunch this week. I've been signing up. I gave it another go, and the last couple of weeks have been a lot better. And so, whether it's me, because you can tell it how the matches are. So I think, whether they're starting to learn what I like and don't like, or whether it's just, growing, so there's more availability of users there. I'm not exactly sure, but it's been a better experience. I've had, I had a couple really good conversations, a couple, people that connected me with some people, I connected them with some people, so it's really good just about relationship building and networking. I'm not on iOS, so I haven't been able to jump on the whole Clubhouse bandwagon. But I did, this has been a good form, but I think that's the other one that's really started to drive up popularity is Clubhouse and ways of just getting your brand out there and connecting with other people in your industry or other like-minded people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't figured out the Clubhouse thing. It's a little overwhelming to me.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't even. Now. I was like, iOS only. I guess I'm just not gonna try.
But I don't know if it's a little overwhelming to me right now. I prefer the more one-to-one connecting more than just this big room and everything. So
right, yeah.
but I'm going to look into lunch club because I have heard about that. I just need to finish
Yeah,
my,
you should give it. You should give it a go. Totally. I think it's a good opportunity just to get your brand out there. Depending on what your goal is. You're looking for podcast guests, or if you're looking just to build it or whatever. There's you can kind of cater who you're trying to meet with a little bit. So.
Yeah. And so let's go back to the recession during 2008. That hit a lot of people in many different ways. And you were getting ready to leave a job and essentially transition during that time. Did you have any reservations, or were you like, you knew for certain that this was going to work out?
No, I definitely didn't know for certain. I was confident that I could scrape by and find another job. I could definitely have moved laterally. I just was trying to move up and I wasn't getting that upward momentum that I wanted to get. And really the amount of, actually what ended up triggering it was that I got an opportunity for a really big consulting opportunity that would take up a lot more of my time. So with that bigger opportunity, I'm like, okay, this is enough of a safety net that now I can just focus on this full time. I think it's really important for anybody that's starting a side hustle or looking to do an entrepreneur that, stick with your 9 to 5 as long as you can, because that's just like a steady income stream. And then you can invest your consulting income into growing that business or your business, but at some point it's going to be holding you back because you need to focus on your company to get that growth. And so that's, once I got that contract and I felt, okay, this is enough of a safety net, I jumped and I figured I was just going to be looking for another job. But then, the recession really started to sink in and I was just like, well, and because of that, I think, I think it really kind of mirrors this pandemic because, anytime there's big turmoil and markets change and down, it's a really great opportunity for innovation. It's a really great opportunity for consultants because companies are hesitant to hire, but they still need to get the work done. So, a lot of people I've seen, after the initial pause, I think a lot of colleagues and other people I know, in the space and stuff, I've seen a big uptick in consulting work because, companies don't quite have the funds to hire, need the work done. And then also, with all the changes, social changes, environmental changes and everything, there's a lot of just opportunity for startups and innovators to get out there with new products and new ideas and, figure out how to make this, at least, new normal, somewhat more manageable.
Yes. And so as you're growing your company, what do you think has been some of I know you mentioned the networking as a big tool. What else has kind of been beneficial in terms of helping you grow your company to where it is right now?
I think for me personally, a lot of it was just sheer willpower and determination. We had a lot of ups and downs, if you think about, we were just talking about technology, think about where websites were 12 years ago, when I launched this company versus what they do today, what you could do on your phone in an application then versus now, the whole industry has evolved very quickly. Things are very rapid moving with that. There's a lot of stumbles, a lot of, missteps as you're trying to figure out, what works, what doesn't work, what verticals do we need to kind of swim in and everything like that. So, I think there's plenty of times when many other people would have called it quits and would have thrown in the towel. And I think, the reason that we're here and we're continuing to grow is just because I pushed through those boundaries. Sometimes it was painful and it was, lots of long all-nighters and everything else. And sometimes it was, financially painful having to invest, more into the business than I could into myself. But those were decisions that I made in order to push the business, to that next level and continue to grow it. I'm reading this book and it talks about just the struggles of small business. And, I think it's 80% of small businesses close within the first 5 years and then another 80 within the next 5 years. It's just a really hard struggle. We're at 12 years now. So we've definitely had our fair share. And a lot of times it's just that, determination as an entrepreneur that we're going to get through this and we're going to make it to the other side of this, is really what's been pushing through.
Yeah. So you mentioned technology and just from an outside opinion, who knows very little about technology. I know enough just to get by.
Mm-hmm.
It moves so fast. So is it key for your company just to stay at the forefront of that? When it comes to I'm thinking websites, for example.
Yeah.
They changed it seems like every month there's something new on a website.
Right.
So when you're working with clients, do you have to continually go back and keep updating it? Or do you kind of foresee what's coming ahead and you can go ahead and start and you create that technology beforehand?
Yeah. So it's, I think it's a little bit of like, it's kind of complicated because like, so what we do is because we're like a support organization and we partner with our clients, we partner for the long term. So we have to be able to like, we can't just always be using the latest bleeding edge technologies because businesses aren't going to rebuild their website. We can just focus on website for right now. They're not going to rebuild their website every year because something new came out that's cooler, faster, whatever, So a lot of it is being able to maintain what's there. You don't want to be too bleeding edge because if you're too bleeding edge, it's not really, the technology is not stable. It's not really adopted everywhere. And sometimes those technologies fall off or they don't get adopted. But you need to be on the edge because, in order to land new business, you want to be able to talk about, these latest new features and, tools and technologies and cost saving, approaches and everything that you have. So we focus around certain different frameworks and different languages of code, certain infrastructure in terms of our cloud. And then we always try to stay on the edge of that, with our new projects, always pushing out the new latest, coolest things. But then, because we work with many of our clients, some of our clients we've been working with for 10 years and, helping them to slowly upgrade their systems iteratively, little by little as they have time, as they have budget, as it's necessary, So one of our longest clients is My Italian Family. They help with dual citizenship and help people get dual citizenship in Italy. And they have a really customized CMS website, e-commerce site that we built for them. And it's on a very old platform. And that platform has made several updates since then. And now the version they're on is depreciating. So we're helping them to make a big update. And, we've continuously helped them stay updated. But at this point, they need to kind of make a big update to get up to that latest version. And then they'll be able to sit there for another 5, 10, years or whatever. So, it's a lot about being strategic partners with our clients and really understanding what's important to them, helping keep their sites secure, keep their sites up to date, show them when the coolest things are out that'll benefit them, but we're not, not every cool new thing is going to benefit every client. So, we're not really about, trying to hard sell everybody. It's really about helping our clients to grow and making sure that we're offering, new technology and new advances when it's applicable to them to help them to, scale back costs or, stay up to date or provide a better experience or whatever it might be.
Yeah. You mentioned something probably unintentionally when you were talking about having clients for years, and I hear client retention. A lot of times entrepreneurs continually focus on acquiring new customers and bringing in, and that's more expensive than retaining clients. And so probably one of the key successes to your business, I'm assuming, is that you have such great client retention.
Yeah.
So what are some kind of key points that you would probably recommend to other entrepreneurs when it comes to really honing in on that key skill of client retention and nurturing relationships?
Yeah. You hit it on the head there. Like, again, because we're a small company, because we, aren't a really large, well-funded agency that, has a bunch of money to throw into marketing and sales and stuff. And because most of our, all of our projects are very technical. And so they all come kind of through word of mouth or relationship building and stuff. So it's really important for us to retain our clients because we can't churn and burn through them the way that some other agencies do. I think, certain agencies, depending on their deliverables, it's a little more geared to that. Like maybe if they're just doing, setting up, building marketing campaigns, and they can just go in there, setting up a new marketing campaign or coming up with new marketing concepts for clients. And that's like a new project each time. But with us, it's a lot of like, once you build it, you also have to maintain it and support it. Mm-hmm. And then also helping, I think it's, for us, the success comes from really being strategic partners with our clients and really having their best interests in mind. So, it's also about, so that's one of it, and making sure that we're looking out for their best interests, that we're, continually providing great value to them so that they'll continue to be a client with us. And the other thing is like the flexibility of our approach is like, I want our clients to be successful because then we're going to be successful because, they use us and, our work's going to grow if their, revenue grows and everything like that. So it's also about the flexible model and how I set up our support retainers and everything by not strong arming, like, baseline support and by, offering these flexible models in which we engage with our clients, it really sets them up for success so we can be there to support them when they need it and not be a really high ticket item when they don't. So, I'm definitely not making the most profitable business by doing this. I could definitely like increase my margins by, setting different rules and stuff, but that's what's led to a lot of my long-term client success. So over time, I do make more money, and it does, provide a lot more value. But it's something that's a little bit of an ebb and flow. I have to invest in them, they invest in us, and together, we're able to make each other very successful.
I'm always curious on names. So where did Tragic Media come from?
Well, it really came from, helping businesses to save them from their technology tragedies. Just so much of our early years were like businesses would come to us and we would be like the third or fourth person. They went through their mom's friend or something, and then they tried to get something built there and that failed, and then they went to some other agency, but they weren't really a technology agency, or they outsourced all the work overseas and had bad management of their resources, so it didn't come out the way they needed or something. So when they found us and we finally like got to the heart of it and would build it for them, and stuff, it was just such a great relief for them, and that's really turned into kind of our mission, is to really like help businesses to save, because like not having the right partner in your technology can lead to just like outrageous, losses and overages. And ultimately your whole project could be, just unsuccessful. So, helping businesses and understanding their goals and their needs and what they're trying to accomplish, and coupling that with great modern technology and a really great senior staff team that really understands how to build these technologies, it just helps to ensure better long-term success for our clients. It helps to ensure that they're able to use the technology without going through all of the hurdles of trying to, build it themselves, or trying to, work with these, different companies that, definitely are, that maybe don't have their best interests in mind.
Speaking of businesses and technology, what's one underrated thing when it comes to technology that businesses need to focus on more? And what's one overrated thing that businesses should focus on less when it comes to technology?
Well, I think one of the maybe not necessarily underrated, but one of the most important things I think from technology is the use of it for automation. I think there's just a lot of things that businesses and business owners get caught up with, and they're doing a lot of manual things that you could have a developer write a script for and then just automate all of that for you, or you could build a system. Reminds me of one of our projects a while back. We built this application for this solar finance company, and their client finance onboarding process was a nightmare. And like, I literally sat behind this one girl to see try to understand what everybody's, job is and how the process flows so that we could create software to automate it all. And this girl just sat there and just refreshed her email inbox just constantly, because she had to get the email right when it came so that she could get it submitted within 5 minutes or whatever it was intense. Like a simple notification system or a way to automate that. There's ways to solve some of these processes and these flows, or to, connect outside systems. There's some people that are spending so much time extracting data from one system to connect it to another system. Well, there's a lot of, tools with APIs, you can connect those and automate all that yourself and save yourself, hundreds of hours. So that's one thing that I think is definitely necessary to focus on for business owners, in a way to save money, save time, create efficiency. And then I guess the an overrated technology thing. Well, I guess I'll take it from a startup approach. I think a lot of startups, going back to kind of like the Clubhouse tool, a lot of startups will launch with iOS only, and they'll build their iOS app and then they'll grow from there. And I think that's a very narrow and outdated approach to building an application, to building software. There's a lot of tools out there nowadays that let you build a cross-platform experience that works on everything. Mm-hmm. And then you can get more niche down to just an iOS app and provide a really, really great iOS experience. But it cuts out so much of your market as a startup to just focus on just iOS. That's great if that's specifically your user base and you're just building something within the iOS ecosystem. But if you're not, you're really cutting out, 50% of your potential customers there. And you could create just such a great experience with other tools that are available now that let you deploy to iOS, to Android, to the web, to desktop. So I think that's one thing that, there's still this old mentality and this old mantra of like iOS first. I got to build my iOS app. And I think that's just very outdated. And you really got to, understand how to build something small that can get to everybody and then iterate from there.
Interesting. And so we're going to go back in the time machine a little bit. And this is just another random question that I think about, is that what was it about that sweet 486 Windows machine that really, I guess, infatuated you? And that was kind of the birth of your love for technology, right?
Yeah,
So
totally. I mean, like I've always been, computer nerd, into video games and everything like that. But it was that machine that like, I had got it from my uncle, and I really just got to get my hands dirty with it. I broke it. I was reading through Windows manuals, in like grade school, like, figuring out how to fix whatever problem I had created and trying to, customize this machine or whatever. Really got me deeply immersed into video games. And it was like my escape from, all the, other things that were going on in my life and stuff. And I think it was the level of, customization and modification of the system that you could do that really like started to, intrigue me. And then, slowly there, or, shortly after, a couple of years later, I was building my own machines from the ground up, building my own computers, starting to write some code and getting into, web code and everything like that. So, I think it was just like the possibility of creation that was possible with this machine and being able to, take it and build something out of nothing.
Yeah. And, that sounds like an entrepreneur right there, especially that last sentence. So do you think, and I love to ask this question, do you think an entrepreneur do you think you are just inherently an entrepreneur, or do you think you can develop into entrepreneur? And what I mean by that is, you hear a lot of times is like, I've been entrepreneur at heart since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
I've always I used to try to sell things at the lemonade stand or trade cards or flip cards and whatnot. And then you hear some people where they worked a 9 to 5 until maybe they're like 45. And then all of a sudden they're starting their own business. So what do you think?
Well, I think that it's a spark, right? It's a spark that can ignite in any of us. And I think, sometimes we get it young and it's something that's been with us, our whole lives. And that person just has that mindset and that, mentality. And then I think sometimes it can be, created through our systems, whether that's a dead end job that, you don't want to see, or, losing a loved one, to, something that could have been preventable, or something that sparks something inside you that like, this could change. And like, I have the power to change it, and then I think, beyond that, it's also like a drive. I think that, and that's something that I think you can be born with. I mean, I know that I have just a very intense drive that I've always had. But I think it's also something that can be created out of circumstance, where like all of a sudden you develop a drive to make change in the world. And so I think it can be both. Absolutely. But I do think that some people are just born, or at least, bred from an early age to do it. But I think that just as realistically that somebody could, the situations could arise that they would get that spark, later in life and run with it.
What's in store for the future with Tragic Media?
We're just continuing to grow and evolve. We're investing in building out some of our own products. So we've always just been a consulting brand. So now we're trying to build out some of our own SaaS products to help other companies like us solve some of the problems that we've built some product or some solutions internally that we're going to then productize and build out to help other software teams. And then we're also kind of like you were talking about before, everything's always changing. There's always these new things available. Well, now one of the new things that's rising really quickly is these really advanced no-code platforms and low-code platforms, which are going to take away some of the work that we do in terms of developing some websites or e-commerce sites or whatever. And so with that, we have to continue to evolve into deeper forms of technology in order to continue to be a tech company. So we've been, really making, over the last few years, we've made a lot of a growth into our cloud operations or DevOps DevOps operations to help, clients with the, back-end infrastructure of their organization. And now we're making a move to start to grow into more IoT software. So doing more connected device software, pulling data from outside sensors, helping one of our clients that we're starting to work with, they have like a smart building system. So we're going to help with implementation and growth of their smart building system to be able to, just pull data, about room use, about, controlled lighting and all sorts of other really cool things like that. So that's going to be the focus, I think, over the next 2 years, is starting to grow out our expertise in the IoT sphere, and ideally kind of transition. So we're going to have some of our own SaaS products, and then we'll be a little bit more focused into some little bit deeper technology, and then probably take a little bit of a step away from the standard web and e-commerce things, because I think that stuff's just going to be a lot more, plug and play over the next few years. It's going to be a lot more just easy for non-technical or not heavy engineering people to manage.
Cool. Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap this conversation up, let's do a few random questions. So the first one is, what does success mean to you?
Success is, I think that it's financial stability and it's control of my time.
Yes. And I like your quote here. One more mountain to climb, then it's all downhill from there. So what is that? When I say that quote, what does that like speak to you?
It's just, that's kind of always like my mentality on it, is I'm always just focused on like, this next hurdle. Like I have my big vision, but you always have to be kind of focused on the hurdle at hand, and making steps towards making the business grow in a more efficient way. So, each mountain that you get over, the next one should be sustainably smaller and smaller and smaller. So, in a sense, even though you're still going up, you're always going down because you've hit the bigger mountains earlier on. So I think that's what it means to me.
What do you think your superpower is?
I think, it's really my drive, I think, and my ability. And then I think the other piece of that is my ability to kind of like